All right, let's dive right in. We've got your 3 webpage templates PDF right here. And I'm excited to unpack this whole idea of building a thriving hypnotherapy business, even when, the world feels a little, shall we say, unpredictable.
It's definitely a hot topic right now.
It is. I mean, Google keeps us on our toes. Social movements change the conversation overnight, and don't even get me started on the competition.
Yeah.
But the source, it doesn't shy away from those challenges. In fact, it calls it like it sees it, a frantic economy. So the big question is, can you actually fill your practice with those dream clients without being glued to sales calls or like spending a fortune on marketing?
Right.
And spoiler alert, this source seems to think a big fat yes is possible.
I like the sound of that already.
Me too. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, the source throws a little curveball our way. It says we've got to ditch that old peacetime playbook.
Interesting. What do they mean by that?
Well, it's like this. Instead of treating all clients the same, we've got to get strategic, almost like a wartime strategy, if you will.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's about focusing on your ideal client, especially those who are ready to invest in, those high-ticket programs.
Makes sense. You're looking for quality over quantity.
Exactly. And that's where this whole sharers, shoppers, successful model comes in.
I've heard that tossed around. How does it work again?
It's pretty simple, really. Think of your sharers as those who love your free content but aren't quite ready to pull out their wallets.
Right.
Then you've got your shoppers. They might dabble in a few lower price things here and there.
Gotcha.
But it's those successful clients, the ones who are ready to commit to a premium experience. Those are the ones who can really, really take your business to the next level.
Especially in a, as the source calls it, frantic economy.
For sure. And the key here, and I think this is super important, it's not about like becoming a business coach overnight or anything.
Right. It's about finding the right clients.
Exactly. It's about recognizing which clients truly align with the value and the transformation that you offer.
Because let's be honest, chasing after those low-paying clients, it can be exhausting. And it doesn't do your bank account any favors.
You got that right. And honestly, it can really drain your energy and passion in the long run. It's about working smarter, not harder, to attract those who are truly ready for what you bring to the table. But the million-dollar question is, how do we make this wartime approach work?
Yeah. How do we craft these irresistible offers that have those dream clients practically lining up at our both laughing virtual doors?
Right. Well, the source gets really interesting here. It talks about this idea of identifying those like jaw drop problems. What are those?
There's those issues, the ones that keep your ideal clients up at night, the things they just can't seem to crack.
Okay.
And it's not just about those surface level things like, anxiety or insomnia. It's about going deeper. It's about uncovering those unspoken frustrations, the things that those high-tier clients might not even realize they have.
I see. It's about digging below the surface. It's like, how do you crack the code of what they really need, even if they can't articulate it themselves?
Exactly. And that's where I think this idea of understanding the psychology of affluence comes in handy.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, think about it. These high-tier clients, they've often achieved a certain level of success, right?
Right.
So their challenges, they're often different from someone who's just starting out.
That makes sense. They're not just worried about making ends meet. They're looking for that next level of growth.
Exactly. It's like they've climbed one mountain, and now they're looking for a Sherpa to guide them up Everest.
I like that analogy. So how do we, as hypnotherapists, become those metaphorical Sherpas?
Well, the source points us to these 5 core niches, remember. Health, relationships, money, time, and fun.
Right. But it's more than just saying, I help with relationships, right?
Exactly. That's way too broad. It's like saying you sell stuff at a store. No one's impressed.
So we need to niche down. But how do we do that without getting too narrow?
Micro-niching. That's the key. Instead of tackling a broad challenge like, say, relationship breakdown, think about the specific pressure someone might be facing.
Okay, give me an example.
Sure. So let's say your ideal client is a high-powered executive, someone who's constantly juggling a demanding career and, a busy family life.
Okay, I can see where this is going. They're probably dealing with a ton of stress, maybe even feeling pulled in a million different directions.
Exactly. They might be struggling to maintain intimacy with their partner while, navigating different time zones or dealing with the unique pressures of their industry.
And that right there, that's a micro niche.
Bingo. You're speaking their language now.
Mm.
You're not just offering generic relationship help. You're positioning yourself as the expert who understands the specific challenges of their world.
That's brilliant. It's about going beyond the surface level and really tapping into those unspoken pain points.
And that's what makes you stand out. Because, let's be honest, wealthy clients, they can afford to work with anyone, right?
True. So why should they choose you?
Because you get them. You understand their world.
It's like that feeling of finally someone who speaks my language.
Exactly. And that's where those 5 key rules the source talks about come in. Positioning, scope, relatability and story, consistency and readiness. They all tie into building that sense of trust and expertise.
And I love how the source brings in that example of the groundskeeper who's been tending to this estate for like 80 years.
It's such a good example. It shows that experience and longevity, they matter, especially for these high-tier clients.
It's like you're not just some fly-by-night operation. You've got a proven track record.
Exactly. And you've seen it all. You know how to handle whatever comes your way.
And speaking of showcasing your expertise, I was really struck by how the source talks about websites because it emphasizes this less is more approach.
Less is more, even for high-ticket programs.
That's what I thought, but it makes so much sense when you think about it.
How so?
Well, wealthy clients, they're often short on time. They don't want to wade through a ton of information to figure out what you're all about.
So a streamlined, high-value online presence is key.
Exactly. It's about quality over quantity. The source even says that you only need 3 essential pages: opt-in, free content, and sales.
Wow, that's it. Just 3.
That's what it says. And it goes on to explain how these pages should be designed to really speak to that high-tier client.
Well, this is blowing my mind. I thought I needed like 1,000,000 pages to justify my prices.
It's funny how our assumptions can sometimes hold us back, isn't it? But I think the source is onto something here. It's like instead of trying to be everything to everyone, you're creating a very clear, very intentional path for your ideal client.
And that clarity, that can be incredibly powerful.
It's all about making it easy for them to see how you can solve their problems, right?
Absolutely. And you know, I really appreciate how the source provides those visual examples, the low tier versus high tier web pages.
Oh, yeah, those are really interesting. What struck you about those?
Well, it's the little things. Like the high tier examples, they often focus on showcasing the transformation or the lifestyle the client wants.
Instead of just hitting them with a laundry list of bullet points and fancy jargon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about painting a picture of the life they could have, not just the problem they're facing.
So it's about selling the dream, the feeling, the aspiration.
Spot on.
This has been so insightful. But okay, before we get too carried away with websites and branding, I do want to circle back to something the source mentions. This 10-minute exercise for creating an ebook cover.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
It seems so simple, but sometimes it's those small steps that can make a big difference, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think it's smart that this source emphasizes the short time commitment because it's easy to get bogged down in perfectionism.
Oh, I know it. Especially when you're trying to, like, put your best foot forward for those high-end clients. But sometimes you just gotta start somewhere.
Exactly. Even if it's not perfect, taking action is key.
And you can always go back and refine it later. Remember that example from the source, Kevin, who created an ebook cover in 10 minutes. And then with a little feedback, he was able to improve it in just 8. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you just get started.
It's so true. And, while we're on the topic of taking action, I think it's time we address the, shall we say, elephant in the room.
The financial side of things.
Exactly. Because attracting these high-tier clients isn't just about prestige or, feeling good about yourself. It's about creating a business that supports the lifestyle you desire.
And the source actually makes a pretty bold claim, saying that attracting even one high-tier client per week can be a game changer for your business.
One client?
Really? That's what it says. And it all comes down to this business maths concept, which basically throws the whole hustle harder mentality out the window.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Uh-huh.
Tell me more about this business maths.
Well, it's about shifting your focus from quantity to quality. It's not about having endless clients. It's about attracting those who are truly ready to invest in the value you offer.
So instead of working with like dozens of clients who are paying you peanuts, you're focusing on a smaller number of high-paying clients.
Exactly. And the source uses the example of a $3,500 program. Suddenly, landing one sale per week doesn't seem so far-fetched, does it?
That's a really good point. It puts things into perspective. And honestly, I think I'd much rather have a handful of clients who are really invested in my work than be juggling dozens of clients who are constantly nickel and diming me.
It's not just about the money either. Think about the time and energy you'd save. You could finally focus on what you do best, helping people create those profound transformations.
And that freedom, that peace of mind, that's priceless.
Absolutely. And speaking of managing your energy and resources, I do want to touch on one more thing before we wrap up. This whole concept of money buckets.
Oh, yes. I was fascinated by that. It's about so much more than just earning money, isn't it?
It really is. It's about creating a system that allows you to manage your finances in a way that aligns with your values and goals.
Instead of just focusing on the necessities, it encourages you to think about, like, your play bucket, your financial freedom fund, even your long-term play. It's like giving yourself permission to actually enjoy the fruits of your labor.
And to invest in your future. It's such a refreshing take on money management.
It really is. It's about creating a sense of abundance, even if you're not working with a ton of clients.
Well, on that note of abundance, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive.
This has been amazing. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too. We've covered a lot of ground today, from that whole wartime mindset to crafting those irresistible offers that speak to those high-tier clients. We even talked about the power of a streamlined online presence and the importance of taking action, even if it's just a 10-minute exercise.
And let's not forget those money buckets.
So important, because it's not just about building a successful business, it's about creating a life that feels abundant and fulfilling on every level. But hey, before we sign off, I want to leave you with a little something to ponder. If you could wave a magic wand and solve one problem for a high-tier client, a problem that would make them say, wow, I've never thought about it that way before, what would it be? What unique gifts and insights do you bring to the table that would make you their go-to expert?
That's a powerful question. I'm going to be thinking about that for a while.
Me too. And remember, this is a conversation, not a lecture. So if you're listening and something resonated with you, if you have a burning question, or if you just want to share your own journey, don't hesitate to reach out. We're in this together. Until next time, happy exploring.